Hi, and welcome to this yoga practice. We're going to start the practice focusing on our breathing. Today, we're going to particularly focus on breathing into the back of the rib cage, back of the lungs. We're going to do this in child's pose. So bring your big toes together, knees almost as wide as the mat, and fold at your hips to bring yourself down to the ground. If you're tight, stack your fists and rest your forehead on them. Otherwise, hands flat and rest your forehead on your hands. When you're here, you're going to focus on breathing into the nose, down deep into the belly. And breathing out fully through the nose or mouth. As you breathe in, notice your belly expand towards your thighs. And as you breathe out, notice that belly relax and recoil back. One more breath, focusing on that sensation of the belly expanding towards your thighs. Now that you're breathing with your diaphragm, which is what happens when you feel that belly expand, we're going to focus on breathing into the back of the rib cage, back of the diaphragm. So as you breathe in, think about sending your breath down deep into the back of your lungs. You might feel a stretch through the back of your rib cage. And as you breathe out, let everything recoil and relax back. Two more breaths here, breathing down deep into the back of the lungs, back of the rib cage. Then we're going to bring our hands forward. Our right hand is going to go just outside our mat and our left hand on top of it. You can rest your head onto the right arm. And we're going to focus on breathing into that left side of the rib cage. So as you breathe in, focus on sending your breath down deep into that left lung. Then walk your hands gently across the mat. So the left hand is just out over the edge of the mat, right hand on top. Rest your head down. You can rest onto that left forearm, left arm. Then breathing into the right side of the rib cage. Focus on breathing into that space between the right armpit all the way down to the right hip. And just notice if there's a difference between sides for you. Then bringing both hands in front, we're going to come onto all fours, step our legs back and lower down onto our tummy. Here, we're going to have the hands in almost a goalpost position. And we're going to do some movement to get our femoral nerve moving. So it's the nerve that runs from our lower back down the front of our leg. We're going to bring the heel to the bum and lift the head and chest. And then as you exhale, lower the head and chest, lower the foot. You can press the arms into the ground to give you a little bit of support and stability. You're going to do 6 on each leg. And again, it shouldn't feel like a really painful stretch. You're just going as far as you comfortably can. And we're just gently getting our neural and our nerve tissue moving. Lifting the head and the chest. Heel to the bum, and then lowering everything down. And go for 2 more. And then swapping it over to the other side. Noticing if there's a difference between sides, or if it feels nice and easy on both sides, that's great. Last 3 rounds here. Inhaling as you lift the head and chest, bring the heel to the bum. Exhaling as you let everything relax back towards the ground. And then bringing your forearms in, so your elbows are just underneath your shoulders. And then just think about lifting your breastbone so it's looking straight ahead, lifting your gaze so it's straight ahead, and getting the shoulders to slide down and away from the ears. And you're here for 3 breath cycles. Breathing in, down deep into the back of the rib cage, and breathing out fully. Just bringing our spine into some extension after it might spend quite a lot of our week in flexion over computers, sitting in cars, etc. Then lowering our chest back down to the ground. Now we're going to wake up some muscles that support our posture to help us stay upright and less flexed forward. We're going to have our arms by our side, fingertips reaching towards the end of the mat. We're going to have our head and chest just hovering slightly off the ground. So if you feel pain or tension in your back, you need to lower a little bit. We're going to lift the shoulders away from the ground first and feel your shoulder blades hug your upper back. Then float the arms up, reach the fingertips long. Arms are just parallel to the ground, no higher. And hold it here for a breath cycle. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Lower the arms, lower the shoulders. Lift the shoulders, feel the shoulder blades hug the back. Float the arms up. Think about length from the crown of your head all the way down to your tailbone. And then lower back down. We're just going to do 2 more of these. Lift the shoulders, let the shoulder blades hug the back. Reach the arms long as you float them off the ground. Your chin is slightly tucked, your gaze looking slightly ahead of you on the mat. Arms down, drop the shoulders. Last one. This will wake up the muscles around the back of the shoulder blade and also open up the front of the chest. Now we're going to change our arm position slightly for 5 more. Palms face down and arms are out at about a 45-degree angle. Going to lift the shoulders away. First, feel the shoulder blades hug the upper back, and then think about the fingers reaching away from your body as you float the arms up. Staying here for a breath cycle, and then lowering down on the exhale breath. Lift the shoulders, shoulder blades hug the back, arms float up. If you feel any tension in your back, lower your chest and your head a little. It is easy to get carried away with lifting up too much. We want most of the movement in this exercise coming from the shoulders and the shoulder blades at the start. And the arms just float off the ground to load those muscles around the shoulder blade a little more. Last round. Lift the shoulders, feel the shoulder blades hug the back, and then float the arms off. Arms are reaching long. Then bring your hands back under your shoulders. We're going to go through a little bit of a flow now. So we're going to come into all fours and start with a cat-cow movement first. So cat-cow is simply lifting your head, lifting your tail, letting your belly drop to the floor, and then tucking your head and your tail and arching your spine up towards the ceiling. You're going in a pain-free range of movement for you, so it does not need to look the exact same as mine. And when you get comfortable with it, try and sync the movement up with your breath. So inhale for one movement and exhale for the other. From here, we're going to tuck the toes underneath. We're going to press through all 10 fingers as we hover the knees first, so our tummy's on to support us, and then lift the hips up and back, keeping a soft bend in the knees. Pedal the heels a little bit here to stretch down through the back of the leg. And focus on breathing down deep into the back of the lungs, back of the rib cage in this position. You can pause moving the legs to focus on the breath. One more breath cycle here. Then lower the knees back to the ground, and we're going to step the right foot forward and put it where the right hand is. Tuck your toes underneath, and we're going to come up into a high lunge position. And from here, remember those hands, the way we had them facing up towards the ceiling. So your palms are going to face back. You're going to slide the shoulders and the shoulder blades back, and we're going to lean forward from the hips slightly. So feel the shoulder blades hug the back. Feel yourself ground down through that front heel. So you should feel a little bit of work in your right glute and the muscles around the shoulder blades. And if you're comfortable here, we're going to challenge it, and we're just going to try little lifts of the back leg. And that should wake up that right glute muscle, so the muscles that support you when you load the right leg. And then at the end of them, see, you can either stay with both feet on the ground or see if you can go into a little balance. Shoulder blades hug the back, fingers reach long. Here for 2 breath cycles, back foot on the ground or back foot lifted, whatever suits you. Then lower the back foot to the ground. We're going to inhale as we reach the arms overhead. Our shoulders are over our hips again. Take a nice deep breath in, breathing down deep into the back of the lungs. And as you breathe out, notice yourself ground down through your feet, pressing the feet into the ground. Arms are going to come down, back knee comes down, and we go back to all fours. You're going to inhale as you lift your head and tail, and exhale as you arch your spine up towards the ceiling. Doing 3 more in sync with your breath. Then tuck the toes underneath, press down through all 10 fingers, hover the knees to engage your core first, and then lift the hips up and back. Taking a nice deep breath into the bottom of the lungs. And as you breathe out, let all the air out. Breathing in, feel the back of the ribcage expand. Breathing out, notice yourself grounding down through your hands, or that just means pressing your hands into the ground. Last breath cycle here. We're going to come back to all fours, bring the left leg forward to where the left hand was, and we're going to come back up into our high lunge. So pressing up. We're going to reach the arms down towards the ground. Move the shoulder back, hug the shoulder blade back. And let's just make sure that we're not squishing the back of our rib cage here. So the front ribs still stay connected in. And what's pulling back is just the shoulder blade. From here, we're going to lean forward from our hips a little bit. Reach the fingers long past the hips. Feel your weight in that left leg. And it should start to wake up the muscles in the left leg. Take a nice deep breath in here, breathing down deep into the back of the rib cage, breathing out, letting yourself ground or press down through that left heel. Then if it feels comfortable for you, we're just going to try lifting that back foot a few times. If you wobble, it's okay. Or you can just stay in the position where you're just balancing in that split stance. That might be enough. On the last one, you're either going to keep that back foot down or lift it off. And whichever pose you choose, we're all going to focus on hugging the shoulder blades back, grounding down through the left heel, pressing it into the ground, and breathing in down deep into the back of our rib cage, back of our lungs. And then we're going to inhale as we reach the arms overhead, keeping those front ribs connected in still, so not letting them poke out. Take a nice deep breath in, down deep into the back of the lungs. And as you breathe out, we're going to fold back down towards the floor. And we're going to do 1 more round of this. So inhaling as you lift your head and tail. Exhaling as you round the spine up towards the ceiling. Then tucking the toes underneath. Spread all 10 fingers, pressing down into the ground, hover the knees to turn on the core so you're nice and supported as you go up and back into your downward dog. Keep the knees bent as much as you like. Take a nice deep breath in, down deep into the back of the rib cage, back of the lungs. And as you breathe out, let yourself just be supported by your hands pressing into all 10 fingers. Bring the knees back to the ground. We're going to take the left foot forward. Now we're going to take the right foot forward. Tuck the toes underneath. And we're going to come up into standing. Get the shoulders to hug back. Shoulder blades hug against the back of the rib cage. And let's make sure that we've got those front ribs connected in. Use your hands if you need to. And then we're going to fold at the hips. So we should feel the back of the body working, shoulder blades hugging the upper back, and the right glute. Feel the weight go down through the center of that right heel to help activate your glute. If it's not working, push the right hip back a little bit into its socket and see if that helps. Now a little bit of a challenge for the balance. Just lifting that back foot off the ground. Shoulder blades stay hugging the back. And then choosing a challenge that meets your needs, either keeping the back foot down, allowing that glute to work and the back to the work, or taking the back foot off. And we're here for 3 breath cycles, breathing in through the nose, down deep into the back of the lungs, breathing out through the nose or mouth. And then back foot goes on the ground if you had it off. You're going to inhale as you reach your arms overhead. Take a nice deep breath in through the nose, down deep into the back of the lungs, and breathe out. One more breath here. And as you breathe out, bring the arms back to the ground, back onto all fours. Last little round of our cat-cow. So enjoy the nice simple cat-cow. Inhale as you lift the head and the tail, and exhale as you arch your spine towards the ceiling. Then taking that left foot forward after we do our downward dog. So tuck your toes underneath first. Press the hips up and back. We're going to be here for 3 breaths. Breathing in through your nose, down deep into the back of your lungs. And breathing out through the mouth. The knees go back to the ground. Left foot comes forward. And we're going to come up into our high lunge. Again, use your hands on the front and back of your ribs. Oftentimes we tend to stabilize through the back muscles around our lower rib cage, which doesn't help us breathe well. So hug the ribs in so you can breathe into the back of your rib cage. Fold at the hips. Reach the fingertips long past the hips. Shoulders hug back, shoulder blades hug the upper back. And just give that left leg a few seconds to get used to taking more of your body weight. Push down through the left heel, hug the left hip back. If it's comfortable for you, try a few where you lift that back foot off the ground, even if it's just for a second. Waking up that left leg to support you and stabilize. And then option, either stay with that back foot down, hinge forward a little bit more from your hip, or lift the back foot off. And we're here for 3 breath cycles. Shoulder blades hugging the upper back. Every breath out, focus on grounding down through that left heel or pressing that left heel into the ground. Back foot onto the ground if it was up. Inhale to reach the arms overhead. Exhale, focus on grounding down through your feet, pressing them into the ground. One more breath. Breathing into the back of the rib cage. And then breathing out, coming all the way back down. One final round of cat-cow. You're going to inhale as you lift your head and tail. Exhale as you round. Feel the spine nice and warmed up after turning on all those muscles that support it. Tuck the toes underneath. Press the hips up and back into your last downward dog. Breathe in through your nose, down deep into the back of the rib cage, back of the lungs. Let it open up in this position. And as you breathe out, let all the air empty out of your lungs. One more breath here. Then slowly and taking small steps, walking our feet up towards the top of the mat. You can go onto your fingertips if you're a little bit tight. Inhale as you lift halfway. Feel the stretch through the back of your legs. Think about length through your spine. Exhale as you fold. And then inhale, keep a nice soft bend in the knees and press into the feet as you come all the way up into standing, palms facing forward. When we're here, we're going to focus on breathing into the back of the rib cage one more time. Just check in on your trunk posture. If you flare your front ribs, you cannot breathe into the back of your rib cage. So gently and softly place a hand on the front of the ribs, press the front of the ribs in towards your tummy and feel the space that you create at the back of the rib cage. Now use that space as you take a deep breath in to fill up the back of your lungs. And as you breathe out, let your body relax. 2 more breath cycles here, breathing into the hand on the back of your rib cage. And then relax the hands down by your side and you're all finished your yoga practice. Well done.